Let's continue our project by starting to make shot number 3, where we are going to make one of the coolest shots of the project. In this shot, we will set up the camera at an eye-catching angle, play around with the environment, add an astronaut model, give it a realistic animation, and finally we wrap everything up by making a safety cable. So if you are new here, definitely check the previous shots, because here we are going to continue what we have started. As I have mentioned, we start by adjusting the camera. So select the camera in the timeline, make sure to delete all its keyframes. Then go to the constraint panel and remove the copy location constraint. Or if you don't want to remove it, make sure the influence property is set on absolute 0, so that the copy location constraint actually doesn't have any effect on the camera. Next, go to the camera panel and under camera Shakify add-on, remove all the shakes that we had added. Now move up the camera and place it above the corridor. It already looks insane. The location and rotation look proper. They don't need that much of a change. Then to adjust the camera itself in the camera panel, switch the camera type into panoramic. To get rid of this black margin, increase the field of view to 360. And to decrease the amount of this panoramic effect, increase the lens to 15. That looks really cozy, and it is just fantastic. Next up, we should adjust the environment. For this shot, we will use the same HDRI as we did for the shot number 1. Because by the help of that HDRI, we can really feel the atmosphere of the Earth, and it also gives the impression that the station is so close to the Earth. So switch the right window into shader editor and make sure it is set on world. And all we need to do is to set the factor property of the mix shader on 0, so that we can switch between the HDRIs. And now we are talking. A small change, but it makes big difference. Let's get back to 3D viewport. Select the Sun 2, press N to open the side menu and bring up the Light Helper add-on. And to make everything much more fantastic, pick the corridor to be lit up by the Sun 2. Much better. Select the camera and let's give it some shake. So get to the camera Shakify add-on. This camera will actually represent the cameras that are installed on the station, like what we have in real life. They do not move, but due to the slight movements of the station, they have a little bit of shakes. So click on the plus icon to add a new shake. The type on investigation is actually fine. Let's play to take a look. And by the way, the panoramic type of the camera cannot be visible in the solid view. You can only see that when you are in the rendered view. So here we just want to test the camera shake. Let's play to take a look. That's definitely too much shake. We need to have a subtle shake. So decrease the influence to 0.2. Much better. Then to make it a jaggy and broken like shake, decrease the scale to 0.5. Yeah, this is exactly what we were looking for. It seems like the camera is set into a casing, and when it shakes, it hits the casing. That will make it 10 times more realistic. Next up, we go on with adding an astronaut model. This astronaut model that you can see here is one of the best astro models out there. This is designed by the great team Big Medium Small. They are absolutely the best team making hyper-realistic models. This astro model is from a pack called Astronova. It is a bit expensive, and unfortunately for the first time in ROI number 77, I cannot share a model for you, and I'm so sorry about that. If you like to purchase the pack, the link will be in the description. I have provided 2 astronaut models for you. Both of them are rigged. You can use any of them in your scene. This one is high quality, but the other one, which is this, will fit the scene just nicely. And for the tutorial, we will use this one. So select everything, press Ctrl C to copy. Return to the main project, press Ctrl V to paste. Press M, move it into a new collection and call it Astronaut. Now select the armature, move the astronaut towards the corridor. Place it somewhere around here. Let's rotate it. Move it over here. And I guess if we scale it up a little bit, yeah, this would work better. And by the way, make sure to set the transform orientation on local. It will make the process much easier. Move it up. If you want to move it on the global z-axis, press Z twice. G, Z, Z. Move it up, place it somewhere around here. Rotate it like so, so that it will be facing downward. And I guess I should scale it down a little bit. So here it seems to be fine. Then with the armature selected, press Ctrl Tab to go into pose mode. Select the hand bone and simply give them some rotation. This is actually the easiest part. Do the same thing with the other hand. This seems to be enough. Let's get to the legs. Nothing fancy, just give them some slight rotation. Then from the spine bones, this one is actually the root bone. It controls the entire setup. So select this one and simply give it a little bit of rotation. Now see how cool it looks. Just compare it with 2 minutes ago. Yeah, you can simply add life as easy as that. Now let's animate it. So press A to select all the keyframes, then move a few frames forward, like frame 30 or 35. You may ask why, later you will understand. Press K to make a keyframe for location and rotation. So let's move forward in time a little bit. Frame 110 or 120 maybe, this could be fine. You can always get back to it and adjust it. Select the root bone, which is this one, move it down. If you press Z twice, you can move it on the global Z axis. Here seems to be fine. Rotate it a little bit, then pick the hands and give them some rotation as well. Let's pick this one, rotate it like so, as if it is getting ready to touch the corridor. Then also give some random rotation to the left hand and also the legs. Select all the bones, press K, make another keyframe for them. Let's take a look. So it seems to be a little bit fast. And all we need to do is to get to the second keyframe, select the root bone, press G, Z twice, move it up a little bit, press K to update the keyframe. Now if we take a look, yeah, it seems more reasonable. Looking pretty good, however, there is a minor issue at the beginning. The astronaut starts to move at the beginning, and this makes the animation unrealistic. That's because of the Bezier type of the keyframes. So to fix that, let's open a new window over here and switch it into Graph Editor. Select all the keyframes, press N to close the side menu and enable Normalize to have a better look at the graph. Select the first keyframes and make sure to set the pivot point on individual centers. Press S to scale down the handles, something like this. Now if we take a look, yeah, this is what I was talking about. We can still scale them down a bit more. Now this is totally fine. This is just much better. So let's again move forward in time. Let's get to somewhere around here, frame 190 for example, and move down the astronaut again. This time over here, and like before, adjust the same bones a bit. The hands, legs, and nothing fancy actually. After that, select all the bones, press K, make another keyframe. Let's take a look. And that's the whole process of animating. Give it some time and play around with the bones. I guess I can remember I spent 3 days to make my animation, but to be honest, that was not needed at all. Because as you can see, even within a few minutes, you can get a cool result. Now let's finish shot 3 by making an interactive safety cable, for which we will use physics simulation. So open a new project and delete everything. This part is really and absolutely interesting. I'm going to teach you a very straightforward workflow so that each time that you want to make such cable, you will achieve it right away. Shift A in the mesh, add a plane. For the scale of it, set the dimension X on 0.2 and Y on 10. Now we should apply the physics that I mentioned earlier, but before that, make sure to press Ctrl A to apply the scale and rotation. That's pretty necessary to do. Now head over to the physics panel and give it the class physics. Now if we play, it just falls down. To prevent that, we should add something called pins. So go into edit mode. First, we should add more geometry. So press Ctrl R to add an edge loop. Accept it. Then from the loop cut and slides menu, set the number of cuts on 50. Now for the pins, go to the object data panel and from here create a new vertex group. Let's get over here and select these vertices on this side. Then get to the other side, hold down Shift and also select these vertices. Then in the vertex group, make sure the weight property is set on 1. It means these vertices won't move at all. Now click on Assign to add these vertices into this vertex group. Then select these two vertices and also these two on this side. They will be on the force edges of each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same thing happens here. Now this time set the weight on 0.5 and click on Assign. Jump back into object mode and now to apply the vertex group, go to the physics panel, scroll down where we have the shape property and from the pin group, pick the vertex group that we just made. Now if we press play, there you have it. The next step is to have the ability to move the cable, and for that we will use the hook object. So go to the first frame, edit mode. On this side, make sure to select those vertices that you have assigned to the vertex group, which are these. Press Ctrl H and from the hooks menu choose hook to new object, which will add an empty as the hook. We will get to it within a few seconds. Now get to this side and again pick the vertices that you have assigned to the vertex group. Ctrl H, hook to new object. Now go into object mode and if we select the empty, we can move the plane on each side. But to really see the effect, press play and move the empty, which is not working properly again. The reason is so interesting. So select the cable and go to the modifiers panel. Here you can see the class physics and also the hooks modifiers. You should have the hooks above the class modifier, so simply drag down the class modifier. Now if we give it a shot, there you have a nice interactive class. And if you get some weird result like this, just go to first frame, select the plane, go into edit mode, pick a vertex, press G, move it like this and then drop it in the same place. Now if you play, it will be just fine. Here is a very cool tip. Under the same shape tab, there is a property called shrinking factor that if we decrease or increase that, we can enlarge the cable or shrink it down and make it elastic. That's just so cool. Let's give it a final adjustment. So get back to the modifiers panel and from the generate, add a solidify modifier to give it some thickness. Set the offset on 0. Then slightly increase the thickness until you get a reasonable look. 0.03 could work fine. Add a bevel modifier to prevent having these sharp edges. Set the segments on 3 and then decrease the amount to 0.01. Right-click to shade Auto Smooth. And for the icing on the cake, add a subdivision surface modifier and set both levels on 2. See how smooth it is now. And if we play, Just see how smooth it is now. Believe me, you can spend the entire day and play around with it. Nice, just nice. Now let me show you a very cool trick. Shift A under forced fill, add a wind, then move it down like so. To adjust it, go to the physics panel and let's increase the strength to 500. Then give it a flow of 2. Play and see what happens now. What could be better than that? You can take the wind and move it to any side that you like. If you rotate it, you see what happens. Or you can simply decrease the strength. And it works in real time. So now we can import this cable into our main scene. So select the cable and also the hooks. Ctrl C to copy, return to the main project, press Ctrl V to paste. Press M, move it into a new collection and call it safety cable. Here there is a trick to adjust the cable on the astronaut, and we will get to it within a few seconds. Now if you want to move the cable, make sure to select all 3 of them. Then get it close to the corridor. We should set this empty on the corridor over here. The other one will be installed on the astronaut. So to have an easier life, first try to adjust the empty that is supposed to be installed on the astronaut. Let's move it over here and get it close as much as possible. So here seems to be fine. Now select the armature, Ctrl Tab to go into pose mode. And we should select the root bone, which is this hip bone, which is this one. So make sure it is selected, jump back into object mode, select the hook, shift select the armature to make it the active object. Press Ctrl P and choose parent to bone. Now if we move it, the cable moves alongside with it. And what could be better than that? Then for this one, we should actually do the trick. Select the hook, press K to make a keyframe for location and rotation. Then move a few frames forward, like frame 5 for example. Shift right click here to set the 3D cursor over here. Then press Shift S, choose cursor to selected. Again press K to make another keyframe for location and rotation. Now if we press play, there you have it. So why do we have to animate it and not just move it to this place like so in the first frame? Let me show you. So this is our cable and we can play the animation and play around with the hooks and it will work just fine. But if before playing the animation we move any of the hook like this and then play, we will get a weird result like this. So that is the reason why we have to animate it. Now, as you can notice, this safety cable is not behaving like we expected. So let's adjust it. First, we should make it interact with the corridor so that it will collide with it and it won't penetrate like this. So to fix that, select the corridor, press the forward / key to isolate it. Then press Shift A in the mesh, add a cube. With it selected, go to the object panel. Under viewport display, set the display as to wire. Let's rotate it like so. Press SY, scale it up until it covers half of the corridor. Let's adjust the rotation. Then SX, scale it up on the X-axis. Move it down, SZ. And the point is, we don't have to be super precise. Just roughly set it in place. Then we can go into edit mode, select this edge, Ctrl B to bevel it like so, to adjust it with the shape of the corridor. Now this looks fine enough. Ctrl A to apply a scale and rotation. Exit the isolation mode. Make sure you are at the first frame. Head over to the physics panel and give it the collision. The setting is just fine. Now if you play the animation, you get the idea. It looks pretty cool and effective at the same time. Now for the final step, in the force field, add a wind. Let's move it over here somewhere below the astronaut. Then give it some rotation so that it will be facing the cable. Get to the physics panel and increase the strength to 250. Then the flow on 2. Let's take a look. it has a harsh movement. That's because this hook is far away from where it's supposed to be. Let's get to the first frame, select this hook, the cable, and finally this one. Make it the active object. Then set the pivot point also on active element. Now we can rotate it like so and get this hook closer to this part. So this is much closer now. Select this hook, update the location and rotation keyframe. Now if we press play, yeah, much better. And this is the setting, strength on 300, flow on 5. Don't forget to play around with it to get your desired look. If you are happy with the result, make sure to go to the first frame, select the cable, under catch, click on bake. And here is a point. If you want to make any changes to the cable, hooks, wings, or even the astronaut, make sure to first delete the bake, make the changes that you like, then bake again. So let's get over here. Select the astronaut, and as you can remember, I said to make the first keyframe for the bones at frame 35. Now you actually get the idea, because at the beginning, because of the animation of this hook, you have a pretty harsh movement, and this is not realistic. So let's set the starting frame of the timeline on frame 35. So it starts from here. And yeah, it works. Finally, select the collision cube and let me show you something. If you go into rendered view, it won't be a wire anymore. It will be visible. So make sure to hide it both in the viewport and in the render. Then select the sun tool and drag the astronaut collection into it so that it will light up the astronaut also. See how cool it looks right now. So this was the final shot of this series, and in the next tutorial, which is the ending tutorial of the cinematic space journey series, we will have a really deep compositing tutorial where I teach you how to make a good render and then give it a really fantastic look by the help of the Blender compositing panel. So until then, take care.